In this series of videos, we will explore the essential components of Colorado's multi-tiered system of supports, or MTSS. A well-designed, multi-tiered system of supports builds the collective capacity of a system, and it enables the implementation of key legislative priorities and local and state initiatives. When MTSS is implemented effectively, a responsive learning culture benefits every stakeholder: every student, every family, every staff member, and every community partner. In this segment, we will look at team-driven shared leadership. In team-driven shared leadership, teaming structures and expectations distribute responsibility and shared decision-making across school, district, and community members, such as students, families, generalists, specialists, district administrators, etc., to organize coordinated systems of training, coaching, resources, implementation, and evaluation for adult activities.
Leadership is defined, at least from my perspective, around being distributed leadership. So yeah, there's a principal, and that principal is the leader, but that leader also distributes leadership functions around the school, either at the leadership team level, the department chair, the grade level team. That set of leadership functions supports the MTSS implementation. Now, if you look at the leadership literature right now, there's some great work coming out of the University of Toronto and other places. If you look at leadership, the three places where they have the most effect on maximizing student outcomes, it's about school-wide culture for one area, the second one is teacher quality, and the third one is classroom culture or climate. Those are the three domains that leadership has the biggest influence on student outcomes. And so leadership, that distributed leadership that I just mentioned, really has to focus on those three domains because that's where we have the biggest possibility of influence on kid outcomes. So how well are the teachers prepared to implement the best evidence-based practice? How comfortable and safe and warm is the classroom environment in which that teacher works? And how supportive is the larger school climate in supporting all kids and staff as they move around the school environment, meaning the hallways, the cafeteria, the assemblies, the parking lot, and the buses, and so forth.
It's very important to focus on a system that is not person-dependent, but dependent on the organization, a successful organization to keep it moving forward. We are working in school districts where principals change every year, where superintendents change every few years. Change is a constant, and what we're finding is if you are relying on individuals to lead or to cheerlead or to bring this work forward, when those individuals leave, it's a struggle. It pushes us back in time for the work to be done.
So about 15 years ago, I talked with a mentor principal that I had at the time, and I asked him what he attributed his success as a leader to. And he said, Ted, it's really simple. I give power away. And ever since then, I've always looked for ways to empower those that are around me, whether they be teachers, parents, kids involved in their own learning. I think the more of that you give away, the more sense of control over their destiny kids, parents, teachers all have. And I think that's something that we can all aspire to, and something that I think that we can all do better at the same time.
The district leadership team plays such a crucial role moving forward. When we look at if you want to bring anything to scale, you really need to do it at a district level. We suggest that the school building is the unit of implementation, but the unit of support really comes from the district. So with a district leadership team, what you are looking at is not only are the students making adequate gains academically, is it safe? Are there safe environments for the students to be successful? Are teachers implementing the practices in a manner that they should be? And then are we providing proper supports? So at a district, we are looking at each of those items, and then it is the work of the district team to really say if we're not getting the outcomes we want, if we're not getting student outcomes, what do we need to do to change that? If we're not getting teachers to implement the practices well, what can we do to really support those teachers so they're more effective? We suggest that the district teams, and another important consideration for that team is to communicate with the administrative function, the superintendent, assistant superintendent. So if you look at a district team as being responsible for the implementation supports, we look at the superintendent, assistant superintendent responsible for helping to make a vision for this work, set the vision for the work, making sure that there's adequate resources allocated. Now, we break that function into two parts where an implementation team and the superintendent cabinet level may be different entities working. And so if that's the case, you need a proper communication forum between the two groups. And what we have found to be very effective for communicating the needs and for helping to monitor is to set up information loops that would include what is nice to know. So the implementation team would send information to the cabinet, what's nice to know, what is needed to know, and then finally what is needed to be acted upon. And through the process of monitoring, that is how we act upon and improve the outcomes at the district level for the individual buildings.
For us, it's been a shift over time. We were in a system where it was very much the game board to special education or ELL or some sort of at-risk kind of situation for kids. And we really struggled with that model for many years. We were all very frustrated with it until we brought in some new thinking, a paradigm shift around this is really a game board to success. And what do we do to get all of our kids to, on that game board to success, not on that game board to testing for this program or that program to meet their needs. So we really came together and we moved away from the expert model to where if a teacher was struggling, clearly the expert's going to come in and fix that child for me, to where it was more a collaborative approach of grade level teams with extra support teachers, but nobody sat there as the expert. And collectively, that became our shared vision and really digging into those deep problem-solving issues for groups of kids, looking at trends, or also looking at individual kids that might not have met those trends. So ours was really a paradigm shift over time.
To really get to a school-wide shared vision and shared leadership, we had to move away from the model of one teacher representing each grade, and maybe one teacher from the special education department and one teacher from the elective department, and move from the one representative from each department into everybody in the school.
Going back to how we were looking at our population of students and what the needs were, I also was really curious about the staff, because I had some teachers that were new, a couple years. I had 20-year veterans, 28-year veterans, that kind of thing. And so everybody had something to bring to the table to benefit kids in a different way.
The Every Student Succeeds Act, ESSA, and the Individuals with Disabilities Act, IDEA, are intended to complement each other in providing supports for every student. This requires problem solving at the local level to determine the best use of funds, resources, and educator time outlined within each act.
Even if a student doesn't have the label under the specialty that you are, you still have special skills that will help that student. So for example, if I'm an ELL teacher, just because the student's not an ELL student, but they have language-based issues, I certainly have skills that can help that student, and they are welcome to come and work with me. I might push in and work with them in the classroom. Special ed teachers do not just work with special education students. ESL teachers do not just work with ELL students. It is every student is able to work with any adult if that adult is going to have some skills that will help benefit them.
One thing that I think happens a lot in our school is a lot of distributive leadership. I have a lot of great teachers who are they are better thinkers than me. I count on them. We were sitting in a meeting the other day where they've gone out and done some ed effectiveness training outside of our building, and the piece that they came back with that I think really I've seen in our school, and I see growing, is that ownership the teachers are taking. They're owning that piece. They're owning the UIP, they're owning the READ Act, they're owning the ed effectiveness piece, because it links so much to that instruction piece that they do every day to help kids show success in their classrooms.